Dusters. This is a guided meditation to cultivate kinder self talk. When we notice our inner voice and notice when we're focusing on negative thoughts, we can cultivate a habit of self compassion. One way I like to think of our inner voice is as the language or talk inside of our minds that we use to tell the story of what's happening to ourselves. Now, this story can function a bit like virtual reality goggles, for example. Where when we put them on, sometimes it's hard to actually see the full scope of what's happening. It's a version of reality that might not be the entire story, but if we can start to see around the edges of those goggles, our perspective on what's happening expands and becomes more clear. We experience a bit more freedom. So, this practice will be a process of exploring that voice and exploring how to see around its edges. So, let's get ready to begin. As we begin, I encourage you to find a posture that feels comfortable for you. We're going to be paying close attention in this practice, and so it's a good idea to find a posture that allows you to feel awake and maybe even a little bit energized. You can have your eyes open or closed. For this first part of the practice, we're going to start to explore our inner voice as it helps us to pay attention. I'll encourage you to use some phrases to help you notice your breath. So as you breathe in, I encourage you to think the words inhale, body. As you breathe out, thinking the words exhale, body. Try this for a few breaths, finding an inhale and exhale that feel comfortable. See if you can keep this phrase, inhale, body, on the breath in and exhale, body, on the breath out, at the forefront of your mind. Then shift that phrase to inhale belly as you breathe in and exhale belly as you breathe out. Then inhale chest and exhale chest. And then inhale nose and exhale nose. Okay? Now I encourage you to choose your favorite phrase: belly, body, chest, or nose, and stick with it just for a few moments. If you do this, you'll notice that your inner voice can be useful. It can help us frame what's happening. It can even help direct your attention to something we want to pay attention to. Now we're going to explore a bit more about this voice. As I talk, see if you can stick with the inhale and exhale process, but we're going to play. As you think the word of your choice, inhale, and the word of your choice, exhale. Does it seem as though that voice is coming from a certain location? Is it coming from somewhere inside your head? Somewhere outside of your head? Where do you notice it? Does it have a certain sound to it? Does it sound like your own voice or like someone else's voice? Does it have volume? Is it loud or is it quiet? Does it change its volume? Now we'll see if we can shape it. So for the next couple of breaths, see if you can think that word or phrase in a really deep voice, a voice that's deeper than yours. Then see if you can think that phrase in a really high voice, a voice that's a lot higher than yours. See if you can think that voice in a singing voice, and then back to whatever kind of voice you'd like, whether it's a voice that sounds like your own or something else. Now, when we do this, we notice that we do have some control over our inner voice. When we choose to exert that control, we can shape it a bit. We can shape what it says and even what it sounds like. But maybe you've noticed as you've been doing this practice that the inner voice we choose is not the only inner voice. Maybe distracting thoughts have been arising for you. Maybe occasionally you forget the inhale and the exhale, and some other voice chimes in, asking questions like, am I doing this right? Or when is this going to be over? Or something completely outside of what you're doing. There's the voice we intend, then there's the voice that seems to just play on autopilot. We're going to do a little practice to see if we can tell the difference between the intended voice and the autopilot voice. Before we get there, let's reset because we've been at this for a little bit. If your eyes are closed, I encourage you to open them for a moment. And if they're open, maybe look around. Maybe shake one hand and shake the other. Roll your shoulders a little bit. Sway your spine. Roll your neck. Now we're going to find a posture again that feels energized and awake. We're going to return to feeling the breath. As you breathe in, you notice it in your whole body or your belly or your chest or your nose. And as you breathe out, you feel that space in your body settling, softening, releasing. Very, very softly, think the word in on a breath in and the word out on a breath out. What we're going to be on the lookout for is any other voice, any other inner talk that might arise, any talk that we don't actually intend, anything that's different from the in and the out. Anytime you notice another voice like that, just pause for a moment and see if you can notice it. Does it seem like a kind voice? Is it a harsh voice? Is it neutral? Does it seem like nonsense? Does it not actually have anything to do with what you're doing? However that voice is, just see if you can notice that it's not reality. It's just a voice. It's focused on one little sliver of reality when it could be focused on something else. You can choose whether you give that voice energy or not, whether it's pointing you in the direction you want to look or somewhere you really don't want to pay attention to. So just spend a moment with that in and out of the breath, picking up on any time a voice sneaks in that's not the in or the out. Just notice it. Not to silence it, but to give it energy just to see if you can pick it up in your attention. When we have a voice in our mind that feels harsh or critical, the fastest way to soothe it isn't with more harshness or criticism, or even by trying to silence it or push it away. The fastest way to soothe that voice is to notice that it isn't you, to offer some kindness, and to come back to the present moment. So let's try that now. Letting yourself breathe in and out, finding a soothing breath. Then, anytime another voice comes into your mind, maybe it's actually always there, but just notice it. Actually, turn your attention to that voice for a moment and say inwardly, "Thank you for trying to help." Offer that voice an inward smile and then return to the present moment. Repeat this as many times as you need. The more we practice noticing our thoughts in this way, the more choices we have over the thoughts we energize. We may not totally get rid of our inner critic, but that isn't the point. Our goal here is to see if we can peek outside of the virtual reality goggles and see that there's an entire world beyond what fits inside of our thoughts. We can visit it whenever we choose to. Then coming back into the room that you're in, noticing the other sounds around, noticing what you can see and anything that looks delightful that you enjoy looking at, and noticing the settling quality of your breath. Now just relax the shoulders, turn your neck slightly, wiggle your fingers, just move around and get your blood really flowing. And then breathe out, and then breathe in, and then breathe out, and just relax. Now it's time to listen to more meditative sounds. This should really help you relax and help you to understand your inner voice. With that all being said, have a blessed rest of your evening, Stardusters.
Straighten any date.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let's get ready to get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, let me just post this really quick. Okay, so I hope that got your blood flowing and made you feel more high vibrational. Okay, that was a meditation to help you understand your self-talk or your inner voice, basically. Not your self-talk, your inner voice. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into it. Now, so days ago, we talked about some of the things that men do, men who try to see the best out of, make the best out of things, even when it's a bad situation. We talked about that, and I told you that we would be talking about the women next. So today we're going to talk about women who are unhappy. Women who are unhappy in life, but hide it, okay? They try to hide it very well, and they often display 8 specific behaviors. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please get those likes up. Thank you in advance. Now, sometimes in life, it can feel like you're walking through a minefield. You think you're doing it quite well, but then there are hidden dangers lurking far beneath the surface. It's the same thing with women. Okay. We smile, we laugh, we seem to have everything together, but underneath that perfect exterior, sometimes things are not as rosy as they may seem. And so you may notice that some women are like actors on a stage playing a role to perfection. They've become good. Many of us have become good at hiding our unhappiness. That's almost second nature. And men do the same things in some cases. Men, they don't really hide their unhappiness, but men more so hide their pain. Because as young boys, they're taught that men and big boys don't cry. So men often hide their pain while women will hide their unhappiness, specifically in relationships. Okay? So, with that all being said, let's talk about it because sometimes the signs are not just subtle, but they're almost invisible. And here are some of the common behaviors. They're always putting others first. So, one of the most common behaviors is that they're always putting others before them and often at the expense of their own needs and desires. Okay, so at first glance, it seems noble, even commendable on the outside. But when you look a little bit closer, it's an indication that they're not valuing themselves enough. Okay, sometimes they don't feel worthy. They may be doing this to deflect attention away from their own unhappiness or as a way to feel needed and valuable. Some people don't feel worthy unless they have other people who rely and depend on them. Okay, but in the process, they're neglecting their own well-being and happiness. And so that isn't healthy or sustainable in the long run. It's a delicate balance between being selfless and self-sacrificing. And if you remember, I did a video a couple of months ago telling you that there are certain things that you should never sacrifice for anyone, no matter what. Okay, if you missed that video, please go back and watch. So another thing is they're the masters of deflection. Now, thinking back, we can find that some women are truly masters of deflection. Okay, if you try to ask them about their feelings or how they're doing, they quickly turn around. They'll just turn the conversation around and say, "Oh, I'm okay. Everything's fine." They'll ask you about your day, your work, your family, and anything other than themselves. Okay, that's what some women will do. When women are unhappy, they feel like sometimes they have to put up this mask because you may have 1,000 things to do. You may be working, you're a mother at home, you have to cook for your husband, have dinner ready for the kids, you have to get the kids off to school, you have to go have a teacher's parent conference, all sorts of things that women are going through. And sometimes women just, put their own feelings and emotions on the back burner and tend to everyone else other than themselves. But it's just a way of hiding, a way of not dealing with your own unhappiness. After all, the problem with deflection is that it doesn't solve anything. It just simply puts things on the back burner. Okay. It just buries the feelings deeper and deeper until they become almost impossible to uncover. And they're always constantly busy. That's another thing, because when women aren't happy, well, we like to keep ourselves busy. We don't want to just be sitting around doing nothing, twiddling our thumbs, because then you have more time to focus on why you're depressed or whatever it's making you unhappy. So they tend to try to stay busy. Okay. With that all being said, I told you before, it's always best to speak about issues. If it's in a relationship, to talk to the person, to have a conversation. Don't just, assume things. Okay. Don't just try to keep things bottled up inside, because one day you just may explode. And they're always in control. That's another thing. Okay, and the thing is, control can be fascinating sometimes. You see, because the more you try to hold on to it, the more it seems to slip away from you. At least that's in my opinion. Okay, women who are unhappy but hide it well often exhibit a need for control. They want to manage all aspects of their lives, from their career to their relationships to their daily routines, everything. Okay, it's like they're holding on to a hot air balloon, and if they let go, they fear they'll just float away into the abyss or into the unknown. Now, a study found that people who exhibit high levels of control tend to experience more stress and less satisfaction in life, because you can't control everything, and there's no need to even try. Control the things that you can and accept the things that you cannot. Okay, so it is surprising that women who feel the need to control everything around them are often the ones hiding their unhappiness. So when you're so focused on controlling everything, you tend to lose sight of what truly makes you happy. And they also have been known to avoid meaningful connections. They don't want to get too close with anybody sometimes. Women who are unhappy but hide it well often shy away from forming deep, meaningful connections. They'll engage in casual conversations, they'll socialize, they'll even form relationships. But when it comes to truly connecting with someone on a deeper level, they retreat into their shells. And you see, sometimes this is a defense mechanism. They may have been hurt in the past, either by a significant other, family members, friends. It just makes a person standoffish, specifically women, because women are more emotional than men. Okay, men have been taught, like I said, to hide their emotions, but women are more emotional beings and have more of a difficult time hiding their emotions, in my opinion, than men do. Okay, so the less people know about them, the less they can be hurt or judged. Now, if it hurts admitting it, well, I mean, some of you sitting there probably are saying, well, that's not really me. It kind of is, or whatever. You don't want to admit it, but please feel free. Go ahead. Tell yourself the truth. Okay. You don't have to say it out loud, but at least be honest with yourselves. Okay. And so sometimes they'll keep people at arm's length, terrified of what they might see if they get too close. I had a friend once who was dating this guy, and she felt like something was wrong, but she didn't really want to be proven, or didn't really want proof that something was wrong. She chose to stay in an illusion, or just trying to act as though everything was okay, even though she had this lingering feeling that something wasn't right. And so she ended up deactivating her Facebook page. And when I asked her why did she deactivate her Facebook page, she said because she didn't want to continue to have the urge to go on his Facebook page and find out things about him. So the only way to prevent herself from doing that, she felt, was to deactivate her Facebook page. Now, I'm going to tell you like this. For most of us, we absolutely know about women's intuition. Women are very intuitive, more so than men. That's why we always catch men cheating, but men seldom catch women cheating. And of course, women do cheat. You just don't catch them as much. Okay? And here's a word to the wise, fellas. The reason you don't usually catch women cheating is because you're too busy cheating yourselves. And not only that, in some cases, men, they do things like change up their routine. They'll change their patterns. Whatever they've been doing routinely, they'll all of a sudden start doing something different. And then the woman is on to you. Like, okay, wait a minute. Why is he all of a sudden getting home at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night when he used to get here at 5 or 6? Just little things that men tend to do. They think that women don't notice, but of course women notice, because women are, for the most part, private investigators. Okay? But men, they don't realize, I think they may not even realize that they're changing their behavior or their patterns, but we notice it. Now, women, on the other hand, when they cheat, and hey, I'm no cheater, but I know about cheaters. Please pay attention. And so women, on the other hand, when women tend to cheat, they will keep up the same routine. So you're less likely to notice, okay? And they'll be exceptionally nice, and they'll stop nagging you sometimes and not be complaining about what you're doing, because now they're also doing the same thing. That's how that usually goes. Okay? Buckhorse DC says, I've seen chicks press to go to jail. Press to go to jail. Take me to jail. Buckhorse DC, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Clearly you're rambling. All right. And so with that all being said, let me continue. And so goes on to say that avoiding meaningless connections is a common behavior among women who are unhappy, but trying to hide it well. In essence, it's a wall they build around themselves, a fortress of solitude that keeps their unhappiness hidden from the world. And the sixth thing is they're perfectionists. Perfectionism is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it drives you to consistently deliver high-quality work and maintain high standards. But on the other, it can drive you into a cycle of never-ending dissatisfaction. Many women who are unhappy but hide it well tend to be perfectionists. They set incredibly high standards for themselves and are often their own harshest critics. Every minor mistake feels like a major failure, like the end of the world. Okay, this constant pursuit of perfection often masks deep-seated unhappiness. It's a way of gaining control and deflecting attention from their true feelings. Perfectionism, while it has its merits, can often be a sign of hidden unhappiness. And the seventh thing is they often appear emotionless. Okay, appearances can, however, be deceiving. And often women who are unhappy but hide it well are experts at deceiving others with their outward appearances. They might come across as stoic or emotionless, not because they don't experience emotions, but simply because they've become so skilled at suppressing them. Imagine now, it's like they've built an invisible barrier around themselves to keep their true feelings at bay. They maintain a calm, composed exterior even when there's a storm raging inside them. I remember times myself when I've had friends who were going through something, maybe specifically in a relationship with a significant other, and they would just act like everything's okay, just put on this mask, smiling, like everything's fine. And then you catch them off by themselves and you sit down and ask them a few questions, and then they burst into tears, because that's what women do. Try to hold things inside, specifically when they don't want everyone looking at them crazy, because they may be with a man who's no good, who's out here lying and cheating. And their friends have already told them that he was a liar and a cheater. The family has already expressed their disdain for this person and told them this person's not good for them. And so now they feel like they have nobody to talk to. They don't want to go and admit that everyone was right, and that, this person turned out to be not whom they thought. And I've had friends that have experienced these things. And at some time in my life, I've experienced it myself, likely when I was maybe in college or something. So the thing is, when you're in relationships with people and you have problems, it's best, and this is just my opinion, but I have found that it's best to keep those problems to yourself. Okay, that's if you want to be in a long-term relationship with this person, if you want to work things out with this person, because a lot of people get in a relationship and they get mad at the other party, and then they go and run and tell their friends about it, or they go and tell their family members about it. And I've told you all this before. And then now everybody's looking at this person crazy because this person did something to you or upset you in some way. And now you're no longer mad at the person. Now you want to work things out because you're all in love. But meanwhile, everybody's looking at you crazy. Like, didn't you just tell us that this was a whole cheater? Or didn't you just say that they were disrespectful? And so it's best to keep things to yourself sometimes. Okay. Everybody doesn't need to be all up in your business. And one thing that I find so annoying is when I see people online giving all of their information, personal business, to people online who we don't know you like that. And most of us don't even care what you're talking about. Some people will only view it and see it as juicy gossip. They'll go back and repeat it and talk about it, but they don't really care about the problems of what you're going through. And I don't know why some people continue to think that people online actually care about their issues. For the most part, they don't. Okay, they don't. There's a lot of nosy people online, and they will sit there and listen. Doesn't mean that they care or have any concern. And that's just what it is. So like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now, another thing is when women are trying to be, strong and trying to get through things and trying to figure things out for themselves, and they're unhappy with the situation, sometimes they'll say they're fine. They'll always say they're fine. And it's not just women. A lot of people do that. But we're talking about women right now who are trying to hide their unhappiness. So women who are unhappy but hide it well often use the phrase as a shield. Okay, oh, everything's fine, everything's okay. And that's because they don't want to talk about it. And there are some times that when I've not wanted to talk about certain things, and when someone would try to press me to talk about it, I would just get so annoyed. Okay, because if someone asks me what's wrong and I say nothing, and then they say, well, you can tell me. Well, I know I could tell you, but if I didn't tell you, if I'm not telling you, then maybe I just don't want to tell you. Okay, I don't need your permission to tell you. And so if I say everything's fine, that basically means that even if it isn't fine, I just don't want to talk to you about it. Okay. And just putting that out there for some people who persistently or consistently persist and try to get people to tell them what's wrong when they don't even want to. And many times when people are asking, they don't even care. Like I said, they're just being nosy. Okay. And so with that all being said, let me continue. So by constantly saying that someone is fine, it's basically denying the true feelings and allowing unhappiness to fester. Okay, it's always best to sit down and have a discussion with the person you're unhappy with. If they're doing something disrespectful or behaving in a way that you're not pleased with, just sit down and talk to them about it. If you're going to continue to be in a relationship with them, whether it's a intimate relationship or a friendship or whatever, you should let it be known. At the end of the day, don't hide, things that can easily be addressed. Okay, this may bring you some form of resolve and get the stress out of your life, because very often when we try to hide things and keep things to ourselves, I'm quite sure that's stressful. Okay, it has been for me. Hundia said, I learned not to take my business out the house. Exactly. Okay, exactly. And so, with that all being said, recognizing these signs in yourself or others can be a step towards understanding and addressing hidden unhappiness. It's not about labeling or judging, but rather about fostering empathy and self-awareness. That's what we should all be working on, is self-awareness. We should be taking time to self-reflect. Okay. Look at ourselves from the inside out. So there's things about us that we need to fix, if there are, and of course there are. There's always things we can fix. So look at yourselves and understand the things about you that you need to work on, and then start doing the work. That's all part of our shadow work anyway, or at least it should be. Now, every acknowledgement is a step towards change. Every realization is an opportunity for growth. Remember what I always tell you, there's always room for improvement. Okay, start by observing your actions and reactions without judgment or condemnation. And please, above all things, be honest with yourself. Because you can lie to everybody else, but at least tell yourself the truth. Okay? And so now I'm going to show you a series of videos about women. And this is mostly men talking, which I find interesting, talking about women who are unhappy. Okay? And so likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now I'm going to put the music on because some of these videos have a little music and I don't know if it's licensed or not. I don't want any copyright issues. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Women on average experience more negative emotion than men. So 75% of divorces are initiated by women, and women are more unhappy than men. And so they're more prone to depression, and they're more prone to anxiety disorders. They're more prone to suicide attempts, although men commit suicide more often because they use guns, because men tend to be more violent even towards themselves. So women are higher negative emotion. And so why? Well, it kicks in at puberty. And so why would women become more sensitive to threat at puberty? Well, let's figure it out. It's pretty straightforward. They're at a physical disadvantage because boys and girls can wrestle and fight, but men and women can't. So men are way stronger, especially in the upper body. And so women hit men more than the reverse by a lot. So you might say, well, are women or men more violent? Well, if it's just blows struck, women win. But if it's blows that land, women get comparatively weaker physically, so the world's more dangerous. Then they're more vulnerable sexually. Then they have to take care of infants. So they're tilted towards more threat detection. And so that makes them maybe suboptimally happy when you think about them as individuals.
All right, so let's go to the next video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Once a woman gets hurt, she has this moment of, I will never let this happen to me again. Now she becomes so much more cautious. Now she's, instead of jumping in the pool, you're putting your toe in the water, seeing what the temperature is. You're going to be a lot more mindful, and you're going to be a lot more afraid. Let's just call it what it is, all right?
If a woman goes silent on you, silence is a woman's loudest cry. A woman will use silence to express her pain. She either overthinking, tired of waiting, or either she's falling completely apart. The silence of a woman means she's exhausted herself emotionally trying to get you to listen. And you didn't. And now she no longer cares.
Okay, so moving right along. DC, Buckhorse DC said, what's wrong with them trash talkers? I can't complain. My God is God. No one's worried about you complaining, Buckhorse DC, but I do believe that you're distracting some of the people in the chats, apparently. Okay, so please pay attention. Okay, just a couple of more videos. Here we go, beloveds. Likes up. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
I think women are lazy.
Wow.
That's what it boils down to. I think women run into a guy that they like, and they are too lazy to start over. If this situation starts heading towards a place I'm not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I really like him, and he's not checking off most of the things that I want right now, but I don't really feel like going through the dating process again. I don't really feel like getting to know somebody new. I don't really feel like going to vet a new person. So I'm just going to chill here, and I'm just going to pray that if I communicate to him enough what I want, that he'll develop the will to meet me there. And more times than not, men are who they are. We not changing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm going to have to disagree with what he just said, saying that women are lazy. Sometimes they don't want to put forth the effort into going out meeting someone new, and they just pray and ask God to send them someone. First of all, if you're praying and asking God to send you someone, well, that person's not going to fall in your lap. So you have to be out actively being amongst people so you can meet this person. That's for number one. Second of all, when he says lazy, well, I wouldn't call that lazy. Some women, in my opinion, are more reserved or standoffish because of bad relationships or things that they've gone through. Okay. And so now sometimes they feel like they've invested enough time and effort into a person and it didn't pan out the way they had hoped. And so now they don't want to be bothered. That's what it is. I wouldn't say that it's lazy, but some of them just don't want to be bothered. Okay. Buckhorse DC said, why are you going in on me, Queen? I know I love you. Buckhorse DC, nobody is going in on you. I simply said that you may have been annoying or distracting some people in the chats. Okay, beloved? Nobody said anything about me going in on you. Now, when I do go in on you, if in fact I do, you amongst everyone else will know. Okay? And then he's talking about he don't do lazy. All right? So anyway, likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Now, this is the last video clip.
There's a lot of women out there who've never had a positive relationship with any male in their life. And maybe not only not a positive relationship, but really a series of pretty negative relationships. And so women like that are very leery of any expression of male ability of any sort because they can't distinguish productive competence from arbitrary power. And one of the tactics that can be used in that situation is just to try to do everything you can to distance yourself as much as you can from any display of male ability because it can't be distinguished from psychopathy. It takes a sophisticated woman to be able to make that distinction. So the other thing you see too is that young women are much more likely to be seduced by psychopaths than older women. because the psychopaths mimic competence. They're confident, and women read confidence as a marker of competence, and that's reasonable, but it opens up a space for exploitation, because if you can mimic confidence, narcissistic false confidence, then you look competent.
Okay, so that was interesting. If you can mimic confidence, then you look competent. Is that what he said? Okay, and so with that all being said, now that we know that people are out here hiding their emotions and all of that, keeping things under wrap because, they don't want people to know they're unhappy or whatever, let me just remind you again that it's always best to let things out, have a conversation, talk about it. You don't have to tell people your business, but if someone is disrespecting you, doing or saying something that bothers you, you should absolutely address it. No one can read your mind. Maybe the person doesn't even realize they're doing something that bothers or offends you. At the end of the day, always have a conversation, okay? And have conversations with yourself every day too, as well as the Most High. Because first of all, you need to be listening to your inner voice, okay? That's why I played the guided meditation for you earlier in the broadcast. You need to be listening, learn to listen to your inner voice, follow your instincts, go with your intuition and your gut feeling. Okay, most of the time when you ignore your gut feeling, I'm sure things don't go so well. All right, so please pay attention and just have open and honest communications at the end of the day. Let people know what's on your mind, because sometimes you have to tell people, treat people, or show people how to treat you. Okay, that's just what it is, whether it's a relationship, intimately, or a friendship, or any other. All right, so with that all been said, does anyone have any questions before I roll up out of here? And again, we will be having the trivia on this Friday. We missed it last week, and I was going to try to do it the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, but I got busy. Hundia said her emotions are written all over her face. Then you let it out. Exactly. It's very hard for me to hide my emotions. Very hard for me to hide my emotions, and that's why I don't like to hide them. Okay, if I'm upset, you're going to know I'm upset. You can see it. It's written all over my face. If I'm happy, you'll see the same thing. So that's what it is. DJ Johnson says, stop moving so fast to jump into relationships. I absolutely agree, beloved. Some people hop right out of one relationship into another, when in fact, you should pace yourself. Give yourself some time. Spend time with yourself. Get to know yourself. Figure out who you are exactly and what you want and what is your main purpose. Your main purpose and goal in life. What is your divine purpose for being here? Okay. And some people who just hop from one relationship right into another, those people are needy and clingy. They feel the need to always be up under someone. They're not comfortable with themselves or being alone. And that's not good, because we all need some alone time at some point. Okay. GJ said true and yes. Okay, absolutely. So with that all being said, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay, and so I hope to see you all tomorrow. We'll be live on here tomorrow about the same time. Okay, so enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Don't forget to tune in the morning for your morning wake-up call. And until next time, beloveds, talk to you all again soon.